Alright, be me video. Conference report guy. Made a video about the convincing thing. How do we make a convincing argument, or what constitutes one? And I guess we both kind of just overreacted to verbiage. Not that you overreacted, just that your statement was understated and my reaction was overstated, let's say. Some subjects lend themselves to definitive statements, very clear and concise, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 paragraphs. The subject is complete. It's well polished. It covers everything that needs to be covered. It outlines a premise, builds a logical argument, states the evidence, and is quite definitive in what it says. Then other things like, well, what's the best movie ever made? Okay, well, you could argue that forever. And because there's too many qualifiers, and certainly a subject like prostitution, whether legalization would be the good thing, at the end of benefit, is complicated, because there's more than just an issue of, well, what is the liberty interest versus what is the social interest, and both of those have complications to them, and both of them require a complex model to describe what the consequence would be in such a way as to be complete. There's just so many implications. It implicates so many social dynamics that to be able to cover all of those in such a way as to be able to be authoritative in making a statement, a conclusion, would be kind of, unrealistic. Maybe it can be done. Maybe somebody can make 20 minutes worth of video where they can go through all the conceivably rational arguments, and that doesn't seem very likely, considering we don't have great models, we don't have great experiments to rely on to say something like, no, there would be no negative consequence, no, it wouldn't impact some other feature of civilization in a decidedly negative way. You just can't say that. You just can't prove that, I guess, based on the evidence you're going to be able to present in an argument. It's going to be a lot harder to do, because you have to describe, quite complicated social circumstances, and you have to reduce it to some sort of black and white, decisive conclusion of value. So, for example, you'd have to know the consequential end result of that value equation. What's the impact on relationships versus the positive impact on certain individuals who, want to get rich quick or something like that. It's just way too complex for decision or decisive argument even, let alone decision or decisive argument in a very brief statement. So I concede that it would be totally appropriate to say it would scare me if people would draw conclusions on those kind of subjects based on any one particular 20-minute video, whether in a series of videos, there's one video that nails a final nail, summarizes the argument. Maybe that's possible, but we're certainly not to that point in this argument. No one's been that, there just isn't enough decisiveness existing yet for that to be possible. I gotta tie my sneaker, and it's a little bit rainy. So, anyway, but it's warm enough, so I'm a-walking and a-talking in a humid air environment. Yes, the humidity is rather high at the moment. yeah, so anyway, now I'll move on to what I like about this subject. Is just this idea of what it takes to persuade, what it takes to make this, to get this mind state, I think that you're going to talk about in another video, of confidence, conclusion. Yeah, I've got that one. It's nailed in my head. I don't need to, no further research required. You got your ABCs down, and you know there's no, the A, the B, the C. It's rock solid. You don't need to bother speculating about a missing W in the A, B, and the C. So, yeah, it's done. And when do you get to that point? Or when do you have a sneaker that stays tied? If I have a sneaker, I'm tied. I have to take care of that soon. Anyway, yeah, so, look, we're doing all this talking thing, these video things, and yeah, my focus is getting narrower and narrower because I have quite a bit of confidence. I'm quite complete in doing my research, and now I'm just in the business of attempting to get into other people's minds my clear vision of the A, the B, and the C, and that's pretty much the agenda for me now. It's not about being skeptical anymore, or analyzing some point of view, or that kind of crap. It's about taking what I have as a very clear vision, just as solid could be for me, something I'm, all my years of experience would say, yeah, this is a good one. This one isn't this isn't fickle or, dependent on the fact that right now you're in such a mood, or, right now you haven't quite had this experience or that experience, or you're lacking enough context to say something. I feel quite comfortable that I don't need any more context. I don't need any more research. I don't need any more anything. So it's time now to be in a different frame of mind. I'm not an investigator. I'm an explainer, a conveyor. And I'm not just attempting to convey the raw facts or information, but you got to do it in such a way as you can first withdraw from somebody's brain the impediments, the force fields that they have built into their brain to prevent certain bits of confidence forever arising, certain understandings and perceptions that can't coexist in their mindset because they have some confidence notion, they have some firm perception that until that perception is yielded, destroyed, broken, weakened, it's going to be impossible to slide my ABC in there. So as long as they're insisting there is a W, A, W, B, C at minimum, or some other, like somehow the W has to be there, then I'm going to have a real hard time, even though to me it's so clear. Because I don't have my clarity, it's completely a product of the fact that I don't have any Z's or W's or any other letters trying to assert, their 1, 2, 3 status in my brain, trying to, in my way. And so yeah, that's part of now what something like conversation or conversion or persuasion is going to require. It isn't just creating an image of what you're trying to convey. It's first you have to get the person's vision in such a condition that they can see your image, because they might, the color of their glasses, the ones stuck on their head through their perception, isn't going to negate the visibility of some portion of what you're arguing. And until you get rid of that filter, what you're arguing will not be seeable. So that's a real problem. And that changes the whole definition of this thing called confidence. But in the end, it really is about truth assessments and assertions, and what standard of evidence should be required for people to assert a truth. And so the bottom line is that if somebody has a God delusion that completely makes it impossible to get the notion of a unproductive, unintelligent Frankenstein narrative of life on Earth into their head, so if they have that, what? Uh-oh.